prompt saying "You're live" disappears off the screen, then I think you can hear me. So I better take a quick slurp if we're live. I tell thee, live. Oh, my glasses are going to steam up. Oh, I say. Back at me, that's warm. Evening, welcome to the Theatre of the Mind. It is live 150. Who'd have thought? 150 lives so far, including this evening. And, well, we have a lot to talk about because I keep talking to my friends and all of them say to a man, God, there's loads going on. And I say, yeah, there's loads going on, but is there anything that we can get our teeth into? Have a slice of Battenberg, one of them says. Thanks very much. So, yes, we are going to. And there's this stuff going on that, like 6 months ago, I was telling you about and telling you watch out for it. But a week ago, you know, this asteroid that's going to wipe us out and kill us all and kill everybody and make the whole world go kaboom. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about me being able to see Uranus with my bare eyes. And I'll tell you how. And what did I do with... I'm just going to give these a quick wipe and a polish. Get all the detritus off my lenses, so to speak. And it's a weird one tonight, simply because I'm not really sure. Like on Sunday, we just went off on a tangent right at the very beginning, and kept going for nearly 2.5 hours. Tonight, I've got a day of hospital fangs to see about this cough thing and stuff. So I'm not going to be going all night. Make your own gags up, you mucky mare. Hang on a second. Right, so after... Where are we? Sunday. No, is it Sunday? No, it's Wednesday. After Sunday's live with people saying, oh, it's back to front, man. The camera's back to front. It's like, right, okay. Thank you, the Bovril. I thought, right, okay, I'll change it because obviously it's affecting people's enjoyment of me malarkey. So we changed it. We took the mirroring off the camera, the front camera, and it's still the same. So I don't know what to do. It's just fucking. It's enough to make a saint swear. Talking of which, is the Pope dead yet? Just asking for a friend, because a friend's been asking me. So I'm not quite sure about this front camera on my iPhone. Let's just... yeah. So I'll get the IT section on it again to see if we can change it, because I don't want... Because people would be going like, Adrian, you're a funny man. You're out the wrong way. And your yucca is on the right-hand side, not the left. So, yeah, well, I promise you we'll get onto the IT department, and they don't do out of hours. I mean, when was the last time you thought you could get an IT department out of hours? Correct. Des, it was simply, the mirroring of the front camera was on. So I had a look at it, recorded a video, and it was the wrong way around. So I took the mirroring off, recorded a video using the front camera, just, you know, and it was fine. I've come to do the live. Brilliant, Ray Norton. He says, Adrian, Rev, I'm going to watch tonight's live from behind the telly. See if that works. It's as good as anything, Ray. So, what have I done? Oh. I haven't got any of me cough cloths with me this evening. Bugger. Anyway, let's get into it, man. Let's stop buggering about. And there's nearly 100 people in. And by the way, wipe your feet on the way into the body of the kirk. There is altar wine. It's been breathing all day. According to the choir boys. Haven't seen the nuns around today. Not quite sure. It's a bit wet. the weather, not the nuns. And so it's been a bit odd, been a bit weird in the body of the Kirk today. So I'm not sure how much altar wine there is left. If you manage to get some, brilliant. If not, I'll have to bring some more in on Sunday. It's Oscars night on Sunday, so the next live is going to be this coming Sunday, which I think is the 2nd of March. Will we be on air? No. If we do 8 till 10, they won't start announcing the Oscars until like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. But wouldn't it be fun if they started leaking the names on the Diddy list and on the Epstein list on Sunday, right before the Oscar ceremonies? Oh God, it would be fantastic. I am looking forward to that when we eventually get round to it. What's around to it? When we get around to it. The All Bovril says, evening all. I trust Starmer has taken some Battenberg over with him to America. No, it's all in Lord Ali's flat. Because I feel Trump is going to give him a right pegging. Me too, the All Bovril. Mind you, we used to have, being brought up on a council estate, like a lot of folk, we used to have a rag and bone man come round our estate and just pick stuff up. And you know, he used to give people pegs, wooden pegs. Is that pegging? Because I think I might be traumatised by my rag and bone man coming around and offering me pegs. Just saying. So, Paulie Galtieri, good evening, Adrian. Yeah, utter wrong evening, Paulie. Good to see you in the body of the Kirk, sir. What was I was going to say something there, quite profound. This is going to do my bouncing. Oh, hang on a second. If in doubt, this will do. This is me coughing scarf. That's why I'm going to the bloody hospital tomorrow. What was I going to say? Was it about Trump, Starmer? Oh, yeah, we've got loads about Starmer. Loads about Starmer. I think we're going to have to come up with a new nickname for him. I think it's Starmer the Shagger. Because I've noticed something. Not that. Just I've noticed something. And I'm going to talk to you about it this evening. So, Paulie, welcome to the body of the Kirk. Louise Hampson's in the body of the Kirk. Evening, all Roggins. Speak for yourself, Louise. But welcome. Make sure you can get in. There's a few cushions. I understand there's been some... the choir boys and some of the nuns have taken a lot of the cushions and stuff to the laundrette round the corner because we had a washer that broke down. I think she was upset because her husband kicked her out. And so it should be smelling quite fragrant in the body of the Kirk this evening. It should be smelling fresh. So hopefully you'll get a seat, Louise. Stuart's in the body of the Kirk. Evening, Rev. Well done on 150 Live. Simon's tonight is the night you deserve some extra Jaeger bomb. Oh, go on then. Go on then. Get that in there. I'll pour the hibiscus out and just pour bloody Jaeger bomb in there. I'm going to need it because I'm a bit nervous about tomorrow. With the bishop being on holiday. No, he's not on holiday. He's in Rome. Didn't say he was on holiday. No, he's in Rome. Because I reckon the old boy has carked it. I reckon he's shuffled off this mortal coil. I do believe that the Holy See... Now, can you explain something to me? What does the Holy See stand for? Is it Holy See? Or is it Holy Caring Understanding 90s type? Just shortened to a C. So I reckon... somebody's digging in the catacombs under St. Paul's, and I think they're going to have him in there because, well, Jim Bowen's not around anymore to double for him, is he? So Jim's sort of not around, so he can't do his thing. He can't say, Holy Father, Holy. Why do they call them fathers when they're seedless? Just asking for a friend. Andy, thank you very much for your kindness, young sir. Oh, you're too kind, Stuart. Oh, Reverend, just rant and swear as much as you want. It's entertaining. I know, but when the bishop gets back, he's going to be bashing me, not the other way around. And Well, I do believe we're in trouble in Rome. Because have you? I don't think I don't think I mentioned it on Sunday, but there's this thing, this prophecy. I don't know whether it's the Venga boys or Baba Vanga, the Portuguese bird, or whether it's Nostradamus, or anybody else that reckons they're psychic. But they reckon that this Pope, Jim Bowen, is the penultimate pope, and the next one's the last one. They didn't say why. I did ask whether the aliens were going to appear over the next couple of years, whether it's all going to kick off in World War III, where Trump. Can you see the narrative that's going on in the daily papers? Oh, we're all heading to World War III, and everybody that I know is turning around going, "Are we?" Well, before Camel Toe nearly got in, we were definitely. She was going to push any button, everybody's buttons, including the bloke behind the bar. But I thought we were in a much safer place now that Israel's been sorted and Ukraine's been sorted. And we will get into all of that, and I'll give you perspective and understanding. That's what I'm going to do tonight. So thank you, Stuart. Phil, you in? Oh, evening, folks. Phil bringing a bit of brevity to the body of the Kirk this evening. As is the Bovril, blimey, we've got loads of comments. Simon Smedley, get some turtle meat down your neck. Excuse me? Got a tortoise's head, but that's another story. Hang on, what has Kathy Harper said? Oh, evening, Kathy. Evening all, says Kathy. Tom Harney's, evening all. Let the Battenberg... See, the shock of you actually saying that, Tom, made me sort of trip over my words. Evening all, let the Battenberg flow. And Ray Norton going to have to watch this in mirror. Sorry about that. See, I did change the settings within my phone, but it's still exactly the same. I reckon it's you bloody tube. Definitely. Paul Morton, evening one, each and all. Evening, Paul. See if you can budge up in the pews. It's fairly busy this evening. Karina Jane. I've just... Hang on, where have you gone, Karina? Terry Wookford, it's not Holy See, it's Holy Seal. That kind of seal. Or is it bashing a baby ceiling? Is that a euphemism? Well, don't talk about kids and babies around Catholics. Nuki Broom, super smashing. Look what you could have won. Yeah, you could have. You could be put in the catacombs. Have you noticed how the bloody Catholics, I'm being reverend, obviously the reverend, but notice how, well, the pagans had summer solstice, winter solstice, so they said it was the two St. Johns. And it was like that. But the bloody Catholics had to have the two St. Paul Peters, the two P's. I'll have a P, please, Bob. And so it's all just, they're nicking stuff from each other, man. It's not a bloody religion. It's a control mechanism. That's all that is, the bloody Catholics. But I still, asteroid in 2032. Garen, I've got news for you. It's coming up. Karen, thank you very much for your kindness. Thank you to everyone that's kind of out of the blocks really early this evening. Obviously it's the 150th live. We reckon that's we've done over 250 hours. Some of the early ones were an hour, and then well, you know me, I'm good for length, so just kept going, and we ended up 2 hours, 2 and a bit hours, so somewhere near 300 hours of lives so far, which is just proof that I can talk the hind legs off a donkey. Not very entertaining, but I can still gabber on. Garen, I'll mention that asteroid in just a little while because I've got a script to go through. We're going to talk about America, Star with the Shagger, Oscars, best film ever. Have you got a best film ever? I still think mine would... Well, actually, the Led Zeppelin doc that I just went to see recently, that was pretty tasty. Although the Bob Dylan film, I didn't want to end. There wasn't enough in there for me. It could have gone on for at least another couple of hours. So we're talking about Oscars and Diddy and the Epstein list. We're going to talk about the BBC. Oh, are they in the shite, man? Technical term, before you say anything. We're going to talk about Alison Pearson. You know, the journo, the kind of posh journo. Got an update on her. We're going to talk about David Beckham Lake. I've gone off him. I think he's an arse. P.T. Ham says, did the Templars pinch the Ark of the Covenant? If so, where do you think? Well, the legend has it that under the Dome of the Rock, the Templars were digging. They went underground, like the Jam, going underground. And nobody's been able to say what they were doing under there. Well, I can tell you categorically, because I've been there. I mean, technically I shouldn't have been where I was, but I was there. And there's something called Zedekiah's Cave. So there's an entrance into the ground outside of the walls of Jerusalem, and it's called Zedekiah's Cave. And in Zedekiah's Cave, you can go. So it's quarries. Zedekiah's caves are the quarries where they cut or hew the stone. And the stone in Zedekiah's cave is called the king's stone or the royal stone. And the reason why it's called that is when they get it out of the ground and then bring it up into the daylight and then shape it, it's a really bright white stone. That's why it's called King's Stone, Royal Stone. It's a really bright white. So Solomon's Temple, if it was built from that stone, and they reckon it was, then it would be blinding. A bit like the original the Giza pyramids. They reckon that they were covered. The Great Pyramids were covered in a white stone that reflected the sun really strongly. So Zedekiah's Cave is actually the quarries just outside the walls of Jerusalem. And if you go into Zedekiah's Cave, I haven't told you this, by the way. So if anybody comes and knocks on your door, you just go, I know nothing. I know nothing. I'm from Barcelona. Because I haven't told you this. Yeah, wrong. But if you go into Zedekiah's Cave, it goes all the way under. This genuinely could cause World War III. You go all the way down. It's quite a long walk down. But there is a path at the very bottom of Zedekiah's Cave that makes its way under the Dome of the Rock. So if the Templars were digging or had their retinue digging on their behalf, then it might have been, because I've said this to you before, the Templars always had an escape route. The escape route was normally to a river or to the sea or to somewhere in the dead of night. Nobody could see them and they could sail away and get away. So Zedekiah's Cave actually could have been the escape route that the Templars were building under the Dome of the Rock. And that is because I've been there, I've walked it, I've been down there and I've seen it. Didn't have a permit. Did I say that out loud? Did my lips move? So I haven't been into the mosque on the Dome Plateau, so to speak. Hang on. Because you're only allowed onto the plateau for an hour a day. And when I tried to get onto the plateau, they looked at me and went, "Where from?" So they're armed. They've got a gun pointing right at your nose. "Where you from?" I said, "I'm from England." "No, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from England, man." And I mean, I've seen loads of coverage of World War III nearly kicking off. And I said, "Look, I'm from England. I'm a tourist. I'm from London, and I've come here to have a look round." And they said, "Are you going to worship Brian Clough here?" That fell on deaf ears. And he said, "Are you going to worship?" I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not Jewish. I'm not Muslim either. So I'm not." So you're only allowed, I couldn't get into the mosque, I couldn't get into the Dome of the Rock, I couldn't get into where Muhammad ascended, peace be upon him, into the heavens, and where Jesus H ascended into the heavens after he'd rose from the dead. I normally find a blue pill works. And so the question was, where do you think the Templars have got the Ark of the Covenant? Well, here's a bit of history for you. Hopefully you don't know this and there's a little value for you. Smash the likes on the way in. Yeah, wrong uns. 150. Bloody hell. Like a third of the attendees this evening. I obviously haven't given you enough information or entertainment for the 150th live. So in Ethiopia, because if you look at both the biblical canon and the Torah, which is the Jewish canon, so to speak, they sort of the King James Bible was like the Torah and the New Testament, and it was sort of amalgamated. But they reckon that the Ark of the Covenant has these extraordinary powers, and one of them is that the Ark of the Covenant could act almost like a nuclear generator. And there are some black Jews in Ethiopia, because the Ethiopians are Jewish, and it's a real conundrum for Judaism, because they've got, let's see if I can remember them, you've got the Frummers, you've got liberal, you've got liberal reform, then another one that's a little bit more where the women can't sit with the men, and then you've got the Frummers, black hats, ringlets. So there's like 4 different versions of the same religion, just it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, so to speak. But Judaism is out of Egypt, in my view. Oy vey. And there's Ethiopian Jews, proper Ethiopian Jews. So they reckon that some of the tribes, the Jewish tribes, left Egypt. You can read that in the Bible if you want. And they left Egypt and went up to Sinai, and then across the varying seas with Moses. Right, lads, don't be kicking off, no partying, no drinking. I'm just going to go and have a word with the big lad up there who reckons he's got something for me. I'm not quite sure what it is, but just be patient. I'll be back. Do you think I should take my haversack with us? Because he reckons he's going to give me two big things. And so with Moses, some of the tribes went up into Sinai and then up into Israel. But some of the Jewish tribes stayed in Africa, in Ethiopia. And that's where the Ark of the Covenant is supposed to be, with the Ethiopian Jews in a church. Now, if you look at all the kind of historical stuff, like the Graham Hancock stuff, there's one priest allowed in this particular part of the church, can't go anywhere else, not allowed, got to stay with the thing that's in there with him, and seemingly they all go blind from the energy given off by the Ark of the Covenant, which is like just being next to a nuclear reactor. So they all get cataracts and go blind, all of them. They're only allowed like 2 or 3 years with it, and then they just off they go. Can't see anything because they're blind, and that's what they reckon. That not all of the Jewish tribes went up into Israel or Sinai, Israel. Some of them, a couple of them, kept the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia, and that's why you've got Jews from all over the world, all different hues. You've got the Eastern Bloc from the pogroms in Russia. You've got the white Jews. You've got the Ethiopian Jews, who are a completely different color. And it's the thing that really narks me is when people differentiate, and I kind of feel I've been guilty of that this evening, where you're differentiating people by the color of their skin. But it is one faith, 4 different flavors. The Ethiopians have a different canon, as in a different makeup of the Bible than the Catholics, and a couple of the tribes of Israel are still in Ethiopia. So the Ark of the Covenant technically is in Ethiopia. If only Bob Geldof had known, how much money could he have made? That's interesting, Phil. The Rastas use the Star of David. That's the Mogan David. That's what they call that technically. It's Mogan David. But the Rastas are out of Jamaica. But then Haile Selassie was Ethiopian, wasn't he? He was the leader of Ethiopia. So it's not a Jewish church synagogue. It's a Christian The Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. Zion. Is that Bob Marley or is that the Israelites, man? It's an Ethiopian Orthodox Tawahedo church, which is claimed to contain the Ark of the Covenant. That's what I've just said, man, Terry. We got there in the end, but the biblical canon of the Ethiopians has about 15 more books than the Catholic biblical canon. I mean, I know this might be a bit of a dry subject. I am going to get into some really sexy stuff in a minute. But was it P.T. Ham asking about the Ark of the Covenant? Now, I do know, because as I've said, I visited Israel a few times and have relatives out there. And, God, you know, my brain isn't working tonight at all. A place where family live, I can't remember its bloody name, they paraded the Ark of the Covenant through there. And my family, I said to them, here, because part of the family is Israeli, of course. I said, here. Do you know that they paraded the Ark of the Covenant through here? Ashdod. And they went, what? I said, yeah, they paraded the Ark of the Covenant through Ashdod. And they were like, no, stop that, man. I said, I've done my research. Genuinely. So I think it's gone up into Israel, it's been paraded all around Israel, and it's ended up back in Ethiopia. I've seen Graham Hancock's thing. Mind you, before Graham Hancock, there was, what's his face? Anyway, Stephen Hall, interesting mythology. Yeah, my late Dan was Jewish. My late Dan? Karina, is that your dad? Karina Jane. It's an interesting. I do like the philosophy and theology of not necessarily religion, but just I call it organized thinking, because it's about control. All of it's about control, and I'm very. I always have a. I always go towards theosophy and biblical canons and. Because, like, I'm not a fan of the Catholic Church after what they've done to the kids. But there's some, having travelled about Israel and having extensively travelled around Jerusalem, because in the Bible there was a prophet before Jesus, the Nazarene, became Jesus the Christ, because he was always Jesus of Nazareth. He didn't become Jesus Christ until he arose from the dead. So he wasn't the Christ pre-Easter. But Zerubbabel, Zedekiah, bloody hell, man, what's going on with my brain tonight? So on the return from their Babylonish so the Israelites were taken into the desert for 80 years. And the reason why Moses took the Israelites into the desert for 80 years is because he wanted to get the slave mentality out of the Jews, out of his people. So he took them out for 3 and a bit generations. So 3 generations down, the slave mind would no longer control them. That's why they were off out into the desert for a while with Moses. But these Haggai, that was the name I was thinking about. So in the Bible, I'll use the Christian reference. In the Bible, there was a prophet called Haggai, and both the Jews, Israelites, and the Christian, for that matter, believed that Haggai was the original Jesus. That Haggai, the prophets of the Sanhedrin and others, the great wise men, they thought that Haggai was actually going to be the prophet. And it was only once Haggai had been, and Haggai is buried up on the Mount of Olives, because I've been to his, it's not a grave, he was just buried in a cave. And you can go there, Zerubbabel, possibly, Haggai, and who was the scribe? Nehemiah. Was it Nehemiah? So when they came back from their sojourn in the desert, they built a tabernacle, they built a tent, because they wanted to build the second temple. And this is vitally important, because if you go to Israel and go to Jerusalem, they will talk about there not being a second temple, because what scares them is that there is a prophecy, and the prophecy is the third temple will be built on the Dome of the Rock. Now you can understand that there's one massive big tribe that have their synagogue, that have their place of worship on the Dome of the Rock, and then you have another massive big tribe who are saying we're going to build a third temple on there. And they can only build the third temple if they say the second temple was built. So on their return, after the demolition of Solomon's temple, Nehemiah, Zerubbabel, and a couple of others returned and then built a tent. And there's a place in Israel where you can go, and they've built a replica of the tent, so that you can kind of go and just do what they would have done thousands of years ago. It's quite special and quite unique. If I'd been there while I had this channel, I'd be taking videos and stuff and giving you a tour of it. But it's very special. So if you go with a tour guide or anybody that has a vested interest in Jerusalem, they will tell you that that was the second temple, and that the great builder, the great builder, he just built the sort of annex to it. And I got into a couple of arguments with some of the tour guides saying, no, you've got that wrong, mate. You've got that wrong. Do you read the Bible? You've got that wrong. Because it's all there writ large. I mean, Jerusalem and Israel, it's just, you see things and you go, blimey, I read about that when I was 7-year-old. So, Pete E. Ham, you're wrong, and you've got me distracted into blooming stuff. The prophet Joshua, that's it, Joshua, Haggai, and Zerubbabel, and it was the scribe Ezra and Nehemiah, but it was technically Zerubbabel who was the kind of, in effect, king of the Israelites, and it was Ezra and Nehemiah, the scribes, that actually oversaw the work in building the second temple and the kind of annex thing. But actually, it was a tent. It wasn't a physical building. Solomon's temple was. And they used, we'll go back to Zedekiah's cave, they used the stone from Zedekiah's cave, the king's stone, to build the original Solomon's temple. So there's that theosophy is, it's very nuanced, multi-layered, and they can't say, for fear of starting World War III, we're going to build the third temple on there. So thank you, P.T. Ham. The Ark of the Covenant, it's been through Ashdod, and which I've been to many times, and it's in an Ethiopian church in Africa, in Ethiopia, they do choose a wise man, a man of the cloth, and every time they choose one, they've got about 2 to 3 years, and they lose their sight through cataracts and stuff because of whatever they've got in that building. And nobody's ever gone, right, lads, we'll just come in and have a look. Nobody's ever said that, because I think it would proper kick off. It would be World War III by a huge stretch. Alan says, when is Brian coming out, though? He's been a very naughty boy. He's not the Messiah. Terry Wuckfit, P.T. Ham, according to Christian belief, he ascended bodily into heaven. Therefore, no body, bones remains. Well, you say that, Terry. There is I bet I can't say this properly. Is it no, I can't say it. I always get it wrong. It was one of those small stone boxes. Reliquary? Is it reliquary? Is that the word? No, I'm getting the word wrong. Where they reckon that they found the bones of Jesus the Christ. Well, they can't find his bones because he ascended bodily to heaven. So ding, 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 on the cross, John Wayne stabs him, and then God calls him. They take him down, and he goes, and then they roll away the stone, said "Mop the hoople," and Mary Magdalene, his wife, because you know they had children, Jesus and Mary. Now there's probably people in Rome going, "That bloody blasphemer." Reliquary is correct. Thank you, Terry. And it's got Yeshua on the end of it. And some of the old boys were like, "Oh, it's bloody Jesus, man! Yeshua, Jesus, and it's his bones." And then the Catholic Church went, "He doesn't have any bones. He ascended to heaven bodily, but he ascended from the plateau on the rock, and there is a place where, and it's not really. You would think that if some geezer had ascended to heaven." And we don't know whether it's down or up, because omnipotent, omnipresent, everywhere, everything. So he, from this place on the plateau, the dome of the rock, the Jesus, the Christus, ascended to heaven. And I was kind of walking past it, going, well, they could have made it a bit more spectacular and a bit more golden. But then again, that'll cause World War III. That bit of land, it's been fought over, including the Babylonians and the Essenes and loads and loads and loads and loads of tribes. We could be here all night talking about this because it fascinates me. I don't know why. The other thing that, and I don't want to give away too much information here because I should really write a book about them. But part of the reason why the Catholic Church and was it Philip IV that persecuted the Templars? Part of the reason why they wanted them put to death was because they worshipped, and this is not meant to be a reference to race at all, but the Templars worshipped Black Madonna, the mother of the Christ, black. And there are certain Black Madonnas around the world. I'm not going to go into any more detail because I need to keep it for me book when I write it. But this is genuine from my research, and I've literally stood in front of one of these busts of the Black Madonna that they worshipped. And that's why the Catholic Church and the king, because of the money, but the Catholic Church in particular, had to have them gone, done, finished. There are 3 popes. There's the white pope, the grey pope, and the black pope. The white one is Jim Bowen, who I think he's dead. Because the one thing I know about PR, having worked in PR, is that if you are telling the truth, you say His Holiness is very poorly, but is currently here, there, everywhere. And they would give you detail. But when they say he's in a very poorly condition, I'm like, all right, are you getting all the cardinals in then? Are we going to have a conclave? Come on, bit more information. The mainstream media are not really covering it anymore. I mean, there's like hundreds of millions of Catholics around the world, one of the biggest religions on planet Earth, but they're not really saying what's going on with Jim Bowen, are they? So I'm being a cynical old tart, as I am. I believe he's shuffled off already, and they're just preparing everything and getting everything ready for the whole world, for the eyes to be focused on Rome. And having been to the Vatican City, and again, it's a fascinating observance. The opulence, the power, the everything. It's breathtaking, if I may be so bold. And it is one of those places on planet Earth that you must at some point go and see. Because we went around, we didn't get into the catacombs, but it was and this, I mean, he was massive. This massive guy, African. He came up and tried to flog me some stuff. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, and he had a good line in patter. And I said, "Yeah, you're my brother." I mean, look, do you think I've been to Africa? I said, "You're my brother." He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Addis Ababa." He went, "Me too." Are you shite? Are you going to buy me a bracelet? "No, brother. Oh, how's mum doing?" And we just had this little routine, and it was good crack. It was good banter. But I just, having sort of come out of the Vatican and the hours and hours and hours, I mean, there was just bloody tens of thousands of people in there. You just couldn't get moved, especially in the nave of the Vatican Church. But honestly, where did we get that? Hang on, there was a couple more comments I wanted to get to. Terry Wookford says, given she was of the line of Ptolemy, one of the Alexander's generals, and was the result of sibling marriages, she would have still looked great. Greek. Who's that? Terry. Fill you in. Get your Bible out. God made the sun on the fourth day. How's that even possible? Not even a bit of spare rib. Well, they reckon that the Garden of Eden is Turkey. That's the wise men think that the Garden of Eden is Turkey. Now, Turkey is bloody massive. I mean, it's huge. So could have been, and there's lots of layers to the stuff in there. In the beginning was the Word. Now there you go. We could talk for days and days and days, because even the wise men, theologians, philosophers, in the beginning was the Word, and it depends on what version of the Bible you're talking about. So in the beginning, I mean, we can talk about gematria if you want. We can talk about the actually Torah. The beginning of the Torah is very different. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So in the beginning was the Word, not a thing. Word. How does that work then? Well, because what they do, the pointy-hatted ones who are at it with our kids, they tell you that it's linear. But God is omnipresent. God is everywhere and everything. And if that is so, it's not linear, left, right, left, right, left, right. It's not in one direction. It's every direction, everywhere. So in the beginning was the Word. Don't have these bloody priests tell you it was God. So explain to me, because if you're using the Torah and the original Aramaic that the Essenes use, then what was that word? That's why gematria is a fascinating subject. Sacred geology and geometry is a fascinating subject, and as we go along, because I've studied a bit of it, as we go along, we'll make it accessible for everybody. Des Ashton, Vatican City, or is it the palace of the extant Roman Empire? Yeah, because the Roman Empire just disappeared. Where'd it go? Hang on, is that a ghost? No, just turned into the church, the Roman Church. That's why in the the Council of Nicaea, that's why all the high Hegians in the Catholic Church, or whatever it was, the Roman Empire, had to sit down at the Council of Nicaea and decide what they were going to do. And that's why every time I talk about the landed gentry in this country, that's why I say the firstborn gets the pile, the house, the land, the everything. And the secondborn goes into the church, because that's where the power lies. So the Council of Nicaea decided how they were going to be, and it was going to be the Roman Empire. And bugger me, if they didn't go down back to the Templars, full circle. Notice what I've done there. So when the Templars went into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, which I have been to quite a few times, and every time it is hairs on the back of your neck standing up, which wife of a Roman emperor found the true cross? Found the true cross. If you go into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, if you want to go and see seemingly where he died, when he was crucified, as in the Nazarene, then you turn left. The stone that was supposedly covering up his grave is right as you walk through the door. But if you want to go and see where the true cross was discovered by this wife of a Roman emperor, you turn right, go down the stairs, keep going down, and they've got glass and everything around. It's a cave of sorts, and they've got glass and stuff so that you can't touch it. Get your grubby mitts off the cave where the cross was found. And there's, is it 4 different religions that have their sort of headquarters there? You obviously got the Catholics because of Jesus' age. You've got a little bit of Jewish, you've got the Greek Orthodox, and who's the other one? And they have different parts of the church. So you can go in and just sit down and just take in the energy and the atmosphere. But if you go down to where the true cross was found, you'll be told off. I was. Oh, here, man, lads, I've come across from London. I just want to touch something. Oh, no, not that. No, I'm not like that. The cave. Can I not touch the cave? I've been down to Zedekiah's cave. But again, because most of the people following the religion were ignorant, as in they couldn't read or write, that's why you have symbolism, because they would see a symbol and understand what that symbol was. So the pilgrims that were looked after, that would make their journey from, say, the old Jerusalem in Nottingham, down via London, and then on the boats and away they went into the Mediterranean, various islands to Cyprus, and then into Acre, however you pronounce it. And you would have the Templars looking after them, Crusaders and Templars looking after the pilgrims, and they would land in the Holy Land. And the way that one pilgrim could tell another pilgrim was because, the clamshell that you would find an oyster in. Is it a clamshell? They would wear them. And that's why if you go to a stately home, a lot of the stately homes have replicas inside their entrance vestibule, because other people that had been on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land would understand what that symbol meant. You didn't have to write any words. You didn't have to write it down, put it on parchment. Didn't have paper or anything for best part of 1400 years. When was the printing machine invented? 1600? So you would have pilgrims understanding other pilgrims by the shell that they had worn on their pilgrimage. So you would have the wise men who would look after the biblical canon, and it was in was it early 1600s, when William Tyndale translated the Bible, Old and New Testament, from the Aramaic and the Greek and the Latin, and translated it into English, from a ploughboy to a king. And he did that so that the access to God wasn't through the Catholic Church. You could access your God without having to go to church. You could access it through the biblical canon. That's why a ploughboy to a king. They all understood what was there. They couldn't read or write, but they could get access to their God because it had been translated into English. And that translation of William Tyndale's turned into the King James Bible. Honestly, it's my pet subject. I could go on for hours, so I won't, because I think it's religion is very much Marmite. You either love it or you don't. And I'm not suggesting that people kind of get into it, all the happy clapping and all holier than thou, because the biblical canon has layers. It's got have you ever read the book? I read the book about 30 odd years ago called the Bible Code. There's code buried in the Torah, in the Old Testament. So it's all fascinating. And all of this came about, what I've just talked about for however long, from P.T. Ham saying, do the Templars have the Ark of the Covenant? Brilliant, P.T. Ham. Thank you for that. And thank you to those that have... Fill you in says, why can't God just kill the devil if he's almighty? Who's to say God isn't the devil? Because remember, all of us are merely God, because you can't, if I said to you, prove to me you're God, could you do that? I would say to you that you are a fractal of the ineffable. You are God experiencing itself as consciousness. So if God is everything, everywhere, at all times, there is no time and spirit. There's a place in the universe where all knowledge, past, present, and future, is housed. So they say. So what was the point I was going to make? So you are God experiencing it itself. It's not male or female. How can it be male or female? Because that's what God created. He created a male or female for us to promulgate our DNA and for us to stay here, not be like a 2-minute wonder, because God wants to experience itself as consciousness. Because God isn't conscious. God is just is. Now, we really could get deep, very, very, very deep into this, and it would fry a lot of people's noodles, because I've been studying it for best part of, well, over 50 years. So maybe one night we might just get, let's put some candles on and let's get in touch with the dead and then find out what's going on with God. Because if I said to you, prove to me you're God, I think you'd struggle a bit. There'll obviously be a few in the chat going, how do we shake, man, Adrian? Des Ashton, Johannes Gutenberg, 1440-ish, Mainz, Germany. What's that for, Des? I don't think this is Reg D. I don't think you'll find an oyster in a clam shell, but I could be wrong. I'm just, I can't think of the name of the shell that they used to wear, sometimes around their necks, sometimes on their clothes, to show other pilgrims that they are or were pilgrims. It's that simple. That's because, as I repeat, they were illiterate. They couldn't read or write. The only thing they had was symbology. They knew what the cross was, and they would know. In fact, our ancestors 1,000 years ago would have a better knowledge than of the biblical canon, and of, like, if you walk into a church, and I did a video while I was in Malta of a church, because a lot of the subtleties of a church is lost on modern day, completely lost on modern day. You wouldn't know what the black and white squares are for. You wouldn't know why particular crosses are a certain way. You wouldn't know that the Maltese cross, for ease of reference, is actually the 8 Beatitudes. And I've recorded it. I haven't done anything with it. I just did a quick little 5-minute piece explanation of bits in the church. And honestly, I could walk around at the Church of St. John in Valletta, and I could tell the Catholics, because they just don't have independent will. They'll just go, oh, that's that. Yeah, I've seen that in church, and I've seen that, and I've seen that. And I'm standing there doing a piece to camera, talking about stuff that is blowing their minds. In fact, I'll put it up over the next couple of days. You can be judge. I don't mind being judged. You can be judge. What was I going to say? Stuart. Hang on. You've got me going now. The devil actually does not exist other than here on this planet. Okay. I'm not going to ask you to prove me your God. Prove me your devil. Because, as I say, if God is all things everywhere, then the black and white squares in a church on the floor is the duality of the human nature. It's the duality of life. It is good and evil. And we're seeing that writ large everywhere in what's going on with the Trump and with what's going on in life. And you've got the left, or the dark square, the black square. You've got the left screaming because their corruption is being spotlighted. So everybody's going, oh, they're corrupt then, aren't they? Yeah. But they're not saying that Trump is a god. No, not even Mount Rushmore kind of president. But if you, who said that? Was it you, Bovril? This is in the field. Once I saw a guy who said that he was a great sage and heaven's equal. He flew off in a cloud, and that was that. Blimey. Was it the alcohol in the field? Or was it magic mushrooms? fill you in. God forgives, so will probably forgive me for not reading the Bible, going to church, or believing it all. Oh, just go for a couple of weeks for your finals. Just cram it all in. And then when you get there, when St. Peter goes, right there, Niam, you can just say, oh, no, I'm not, my name's not down, I'm not coming in, but I'm not going to purgatory. You can go off. Just say to him, I'm a Buddhist. YOLO, you only live once. Get the Buddhists, they'll be laughing their heads off. Alan says it's a test between good and evil. It'll be judged on Judgment Day, all in good time. So if God is everything everywhere at all times, there's no such thing as time in space and or in spirit. So how can we be judged on Judgment Day when there's no such thing? Can you see how it's so difficult to get out of the conditioning that we've all been given by that very small but perfectly formed book? And yet you can't get out of that prison, because it's a prison that they've put you in from the very beginning of your conditioning. Hands up, I'm exactly the same. Sometimes I'll refer to the Bible thinking that I'm doing good and everybody would understand it. But actually, there's no such thing as Judgment Day, because God is everywhere, everything, at all times. It may be that once you... So take this and see if it fits. So we don't become spirit once we shuffle off this mortal coil, because we're not an individual in spirit. We go back to the goodness from whence we came. So ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That's the conditioning from the modern theologians. But when we shuffle off, we actually just go back to the goodness. In my Father's mansions. But those references are to keep you going back to church, whether you give a tithe into the church, but it keeps you going back and keeping you engaged by the kids, the people that want to shag your kids. And they think they know more? No. So I would love a live where, like a phone-in, where we could just chew the fat, and there would be no judging of anybody or anything, where we could just chew the fat and actually uncover real gold amongst us, and agree to disagree, or agree to agree, or disagree to disagree. We uncover the gold, and we prize the bars of our own prison, of our own making, because of the conditioning we've had from being... I went to Sunday school. I'm sure you did. I went to Sunday school, got my Sunday best on, best shoes, best trousers, best shirt and jumper, and then went down to Sunday school. It was only so my mother and father could have their wicked way with each other, and they had a couple of hours while we were down in church, giving it all spectacles, testicles, wallet and watch. And they were just shagging on a Sunday morning. Did I say that out loud? Don't tell me your parents didn't have sex, you wrong. How do you think you were made? Oh, sorry, Immaculate Conception. So fill you in, Tom, that's Dawn of the Dead, not a Bible quote. Hang on, Tom. When there's no more room in hell, the dead shall walk the earth. But in what dimension? Because our senses only allow us insight into so much of this particular dimension, the third dimension, and God resides in the fifth dimension. Try working that one out. Stephen Hall says, great idea. Thank you, Stephen. As above, below Earth is just an effigy of what is available up in space. So it's not. So the conditioning is that you read this little book, and this little book tells you that God's up there. So evidently, he's wearing white robes, big silver beard, he's got his halo on and his wings on, and he's playing a harp, and he's floating about in the clouds. But if God is everything, everywhere, at all times, he's not going to be there in the clouds. He's not bloody Captain Scarlet and Spectrum, and with was the Firebirds. He's not Captain Scarlet. He's you, me, everybody else. And we are here to experience what we're experiencing, so that God itself can experience this. because God can't experience this without our help. So we are all fulfilling God's plan and wishes. But then the Catholic Church go and bloody ruin it by saying God's a bloke. He's not. He's just energy. And then they go, oh, well, there's Mary, Mother of Jesus, and Immaculate Conception. But do you know that if you go into the Egyptian philosophies and the Egyptian stories and the Egyptian religions, then you have, what was I looking at the other day? You have someone, is it Isis, or is it, I'm painting myself into a proper corner here. It's not Thoth and his tablets. Is it Thoth and his tablets, who is the equivalent of Jesus? So the Egyptians had a version of Jesus before the Israelites and Jesus. Now, if you go to Jerusalem, there is actually, genuinely, in the Bible, when the Romans were trying Jesus, and the Romans said to the Jews, Barabbas or Jesus, which one do you want to go free? And it was Barabbas, the thief, that they allowed to go free. That bridge where was Pontius Pilate, where the Pilate stood, is still there. And you have to go a good 30 or 40 feet down under a convent in Jerusalem, and not many people know about it. You have to go down, and when you go down, it's caked with dirt and it's grubby, but that's actually the real free Brian, Alan. That's the genuine street level that the Jews and the Romans and all the people in Jerusalem would have stood when they were trying Jesus. So Jerusalem is a fascinating place. Any more for any more? Sorry I'm late, Rev. Andrew James just got back from Pompeii. Oh, really? Did you win, Andrew? Yes, it's all energy, and when we pass over, so our energy goes there, and what we encounter is all based around our experiences we had here on Earth. I agree with you, the Bovril. I mean, I'm looking forward to, it's just all, because it's all energy, I'm not going to, when I shuffle off this mortal coil, I'm not going to go, oh, mother, hello, how are you? Going to get the kettle on? I mean, it's like God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. That's from the Catholic Church. Do you think God the Father turns round to God the Son and goes, here, Jesus, get Daddy's slippers for me? Some people would be going, oh, Adrian, that's blasphemy, blasphemy. It's not blasphemy. It's just out of a bloody book that has an agenda in it. So when I shuffle off this mortal coil, I mean, my dad can go and fuck off. I'm not interested. He was an absolute arsehole. But my mum, you only have one mum. You don't ever know who your dad is. So I'll kind of meet her, but it won't be like my mum when she was in her 20s and she was beautiful, and I mean, she was always beautiful. But you know what I'm saying? So you're not going to go, oh, hello, mother. I should have brought some. Is it warm here or is it cold here? If it's cold, I should have brought a jumper from home for you when I passed over. But here's the thing for you, and maybe this is a tangent we can go on. The last 2 weeks, I've heard somebody shouting my name in the middle of the night. And I've been in the house on my own. How does that work? Because I was trying to work out, I thought it was my mum. But it's like, when your mum shouts at you, you're in trouble. Because you've obviously done something wrong. And I heard the first time, it was, our Adrian. And I was, in between sort of the twilight of falling asleep and being a bit awake, I heard my name and I thought, is that somebody outside? 3 o'clock in the morning. Who's shouting mine? Hang on, there's nobody in the bloody house. And then a couple of days ago, again, I just heard, Adrian! And I kind of woke myself up thinking, who's that? There's nobody here. There's nobody outside. Windows are closed. Who's that then? So I don't know. I don't know whether I'm going to get across the other side. Maybe I'm going to cark it in a couple of days. Maybe I'll go to hospital tomorrow and they're going to go, oh, right, we're going to have to kill you. And maybe I'll shuffle off this mortal coil in a couple of days. Fingers crossed. Don't know I won't. But my mother could be waiting for me going, oh, bloody hell, man, Adrian, you were supposed to stay down there for another 20 years. What'd you do that for? sorry, ma'am. But it won't be her. It'll just be the energy. And it'll be my experience of the energy. And it'll be, returning to the goodness from whence we came. Just saying. God, blimey, honestly, you get me going. My mum died 18 years ago. I once heard my mother's voice in a dream. I know, Stephen, it's the weirdest thing because you're absolutely so sure that what you've just heard is real. So is it a dream? Are you dreaming it? Are you making one of those very vivid dreams up where you could absolutely... I've had... Well, this is going to sound complete shite, but let me tell you this story. So at one point in my life, I was in a long-term relationship. I've been... look, this is, sometimes this happens, sometimes, whatever is meant is meant. And I would say that she was my first proper love. So I'm in bed on a Saturday night. I've just finished a radio show at 7:00, drive home. We have dinner, chill out, yada, yada, yada. And we go to bed. And then I saw her having an affair with somebody. And I know if the dream wakes me up, then it's real. I know that it's, I term it a predictional dream. So I woke up with a start, trying to work out what had gone on in the dream and trying to work out the sequence of it and what I could remember. And I literally just shook her. And she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? I said, you're having a bloody affair. And she went, what? Where's that come from? I said, I've just dreamt it. I've seen it. I've seen him. I saw you. I know what you're up to. I know what you were doing. You're having a bloody affair. And she said, look, man, it's just a bad dream. Just give me a cuddle. It's just a bad dream. So anyway, a week later, that was the Saturday night. A week later, she's doing a bit of overtime in work. And again, I'm doing a radio show on the Sunday morning, doing Sunday breakfast. And I said, look, I'll come and pick you up and we'll go and have Sunday lunch at your mum and dad's. So I park up outside her work, open the door, do as you do, boyfriend, girlfriend, hello, darling. Should we go and have lunch? I'm absolutely starving. And out the corner of my eye, I saw somebody walk right in front of me, right in front of the car. Didn't acknowledge the car, didn't acknowledge me, didn't acknowledge her. And I said, where have you been? And she said, well, what do you mean? I've been at work all morning. I said, oh, did you enjoy it? She said, well, it was hard work. Who's that then? That's just walked in front of the car. And she went, oh, that's Sean. We're just really good friends. I said, really good friends? My hairy ass. That's the guy you were shagging in my dream last Saturday. Oh, no, having an affair with him. And that's not unique. I've had other dreams with other partners. I think it's just a protection of sorts. From where, I don't know. I've not given it any real depth to it. Johnny Ray says, dreams can tell us so much. Stuart says, sometimes when I'm in my room, I do smell cigarette smoke. I'm not a smoker, but my nan was. There you go, Stuart. It's their way of just saying hello, just letting you know that they're around. Well, while we're on it, I may as well. So when my mum died, I was like a lot of people here. We all, as human beings, have to go through it. The grief and the loss. And I loved my mum to bits. Most lads do. Mummy's boy, daddy's girl. That's normally the way it works. Electra and Oedipus. Do you want to go down that route? And when my mum went, I was just distraught. Didn't show anybody. Didn't cry. Not once. Distraught. And even to this day, those close to me go, how did you not cry? Because sometimes there are things in life that are so big you can't emote. So we go to register my mum's death at the local council offices in Chesterley Street. And I've got other members of the family with me. I'm driving and I park this car. And I didn't see that I'd parked my car next to a van. I literally get out of the car and there's this massive cartoon giraffe's head smiling at me. And being awake, I said, oh, okay, well, what did you want me to notice that for? Kind of in my head to me mother. And it was like, right, okay, I get it. And in the most bizarre ways, because remember, this is England, this is Blighty. We don't have bloody giraffes here. Well, we might do in zoos, but, you know, they're not parading across the Serengeti just below Hartlepool, are they? It's just, so giraffes are highly unusual. And so we go in, we register it all, and it's all very challenging and upsetting. And so from then on in, for example, I said, so we were looking for somewhere to get married in 22. And we had certain criteria that we wanted. And we were very specific. We thought we were very organised. Because the new Mrs. Allen and I were organising everything. And so the new Mrs. Allen wanted a very specific set of circumstances, because obviously the engagement is about the bloke and the wedding is about the bride. The bloke on the wedding day is just a spare prick. But the engagement, the proposal, is about the guy. So we're kind of looking at varying places. And then the new Mrs. Allen just went, oh, I think I found the right place. It's like, right, okay. How many boxes does it tick? Oh, loads. And she said, I'm going to go and see it. I'm going to go and see the venue. This is easily 18 months out. So there was no rush. So I'm going to go and see the venue. Right, okay. She's going to go with some of her work colleagues and some of her friends. Yeah, brilliant. And I said jokingly, oh, by the way, if they've got a giraffe, then just sign up. You don't need to tell me if there's a giraffe there. Just, that's me mother. She gets there and I get this phone call from her, absolutely freaking out. And I was like, what's going on? Are you all right? Have you crashed the car, have you? She's like, no. I'm going to FaceTime you. And literally, on my phone, in this venue that she'd gone to see in the Cotswolds, it was like a 10-foot giraffe, a 10-foot metal giraffe. And she said, not only have they got this giraffe, come with me. Goes into the office where, you know, they do office type things. And there's another bloody giraffe in the office. I said, oh, just sign up. That's me mother. Just sign up. So again, I would suggest, as a bit of a cynical old tart, it depends on the credence that you give to what you're awake to. It's a bit like if you have a white car and you've had a white car for 3 or 4 years, and then you buy a red car, all of a sudden you start seeing loads of red cars. So I don't know whether this, but it was getting out of the car and seeing this jokey, smiley giraffe on the day that we were registering my mum's passing at the local council offices in Chesterley Street, of all places. And why a giraffe, man, in England? How many giraffes have you seen just kind of meandering down the street? Exactly. So I do put a lot of store by whether it's white feathers or candles or butterflies or any of these symbols. We'll call them symbols. That's why maybe they're messages. If we are just energetic, an energetic being, And remember, I'm a Reiki master, so I work with energy. I understand. Well, I've been a Reiki master for over 20 years, 25 years now. And I still don't know how it works. It just does. So if we are all just energetical beings and we attract certain things because of the vibration or the energy that we're giving off, it's Terry Oakfield, Sprog. Not bright tonight, Terry. You'll have to explain. Brilliant, Theo Bovril. That's actually quite beautifully written. It is amazing that the Rev has the same understanding regarding this topic as I do. Never fear death, for it is not the end. No, I'm an eternal being having a human experience. Could give me a few more bob, though. And the lessons that we are given here, our soul agrees a contract before it comes here. And it is... I was on a course last October, a weekend course, and some of it was very, very, very triggering. But if you believe in something called shadow work, it's based on the Jungian architects. Lover, warrior, king, what's the other one? Magician. It's based on those four main architects. And there was an old boy on the course being held by the Mankind Project, MKP. And he was so triggered on the Friday night that he was up and gone on the Saturday morning. And I always think about him, because if he'd stayed just a little while longer and just sat in his discomfort, the reward, the gold from his shadow would have been an extraordinary gift for him. A bit like ayahuasca. I was talking to the owner of the ayahuasca retreat that we went to in Peru, and it was such a profound realization by the new Mrs. Allen. She just said, I'm being told by whatever entity it is. And you see stuff. The DMT makes you see stuff in your head. I was seeing Mother Ayahuasca. I was seeing stuff and stuff and stuff. And I was like, I'm off my tits here. I've never done anything, any recreational stuff ever in my life, not even as much as smoke a cigarette. And I'm off my tits on cactus in the Peruvian Amazonian jungle. And this profundity was... And you can take this away for life. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, normally what triggers you holds the lesson for you. So the thing to do is just allow it. Just experience the discomfort, acknowledge the discomfort, and stay there in your discomfort and allow it. Because you would get incredible gold and an incredible lesson. Because if you don't learn the lesson, it just comes around in a different way. God, blimey, I've turned into bloody Jesus Christ here tonight. That's another great point as well, Stephen Hall. I'm spiritual but not religious. And have you noticed how the snake oil salesman say, there's no such thing as spiritual. You've got to be religious, because you've got to believe in the Christ, and you've got to believe in this, and you've got to believe in that, because that's what we've told you. We've honed this bloody book for nearly over 2,000 years. So get your ass into gear and do as you're told. No, you're not going to control me with guilt. For spiritual, for me, I read that to be everything and everywhere, and not something that I have to read a book to experience. I can experience it through this bag of water and just allow things. So I now, the older I get, I recognize that sometimes in the human condition, to learn anything about ourselves, and ultimately we're here to learn who we are. Sit in your discomfort and allow it. You will not realize at the moment the power that will bring you. Terry says, you will turn to the church as you get older. Laugh my arse off. Well, maybe I'm just cramming for me finals, Terry. because, you know, I don't want to miss out on a technicality in the field. Andrew, keep it brief. I'll have a look at his solo stuff later. Hang on, what's that? Yes and yes. Where's his farm? Hang on. I'll have to read that later because I hate missing out on anything, because sometimes you have the most profound insights in the chat, and I just love them. Anyway, let's God blimey, what we're going to talk about. I'm going to meander around a couple of points, but actually they're the same thing. They are David Beckham, Diddy. That's for a court to decide. And the Epstein client list. Because categorically, David Beckham and Victoria Beckham went to a Diddy party. At least one that I am aware of. Telling you. Vixtex cramming for finals. Yep, 100%. Yeah, I'm with you. So Bex was known to have been at the Diddy parties with Victoria. And the Diddy parties, one of his lawyers has chucked it in, going, oh no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I've had enough. But now we find out, and this is why I'm going off David Beckham. For all of the hundreds of millions that he's worth, for all of his kids and his piles and his houses and his businesses, his footy business in America and over here, he just wants one thing. He wants to be Bobby Charlton. And Bobby Charlton was Sir Bobby Charlton. So David Beckham wants to be knighted. He's got his tongue so far up King Charles's arse. He's desperate. Oh, I keep bees now, Your Royal Highness. Yeah, I've got a big garden in the Cotswolds. Do you know who else lives in the bloody Cotswolds? The King, as in Charles the Weak. Because the venue that we had for our wedding in the Cotswolds, he lives a mile and a half. Is it Highgrove? Yeah, a mile and a half from where we were. Bex lives not far away. So you just think, we're man. And now he was invited to the World Economic Forum in Davos this year, 2025, only a few weeks ago. He was invited to receive a Crystal Award. And there's only 3 per year awarded. And one of them was for David Beckham's philanthropic work. What is he doing getting an award from the WEF? It's just one of those, as my ninja teacher always used to tell me, presence of the unusual in the usual. What is David Beckham receiving an award from WEF in Davos in 2025? Things to make you go, And then he's known for being at the Diddy parties, along with Prince Harry. He's known to like a Diddy party. What did he get up to? We'll leave that there. So I'm. Although he's desperate to be a Knight of the Ram, would that make Victoria lady? Would that make her a lady? Him a sir, her a lady. Oh, can you imagine? Victoria, darling, would you like to be a lady? Don't stand it too near the fire, her bloody tits will melt. Oh, did I say that out loud? Obviously no truth in the rumour. The Bovril, Wef, the Plains Devil. Popeye Wazza, good to see you in the body of the curtain again, Popeye Wazza. So it's... So, hang on, let me see if I can... So it was in... So it was in this morning's paper, and it's a 2-page spread, and it's like he's getting his man boobs out, and there it's like, oh, he's coming up 50 and he's got pecs and he's looking good, and I'm thinking, that's a vanity piece, that's a fluff piece, that's a PR piece, because there's no story to it other than he's getting his man boobs out. He's getting his moobs out. That was the only... And they do say that, you know, when you're in that kind of circle, Diddy circle and Epstein circle and all, I'm not suggesting he was within Epstein's circle, but he's definitely been to a Diddy party. So they make it easier for you at that kind of level. So what's he had to do for it? He's not, but I mean, he was a petulant little tart. He kicked off an email when he didn't get a knighthood. I mean, he was part of the bid team for the London Olympics. He's for easily 2012, 20 years, say. For 20 years, he's been doing everything within his power to get a knighthood. And now he's got an award from WEF, Charles the Week's favourite place, Cloisters, just down the road from Davos. I've skied both. Literally 15 minutes. Nice skiing, Cloisters. So just, again, what I tend to do with these lives, you know this, I just tend to put stuff there so that at some point in a month or 2 or 3 or 6, it'll pop up and you'll go, Jesus, Adrian said that 6 months ago. Just leave it there. Just leaving the Bex thing. Should we get on to Trump? Because it's just the poor left in America. They are beside themselves. They are apoplectic at the orange man. They're really pissed off, and they're just like children. They're just nipping away at the orange man because they don't like the fact that he wasn't supposed to win. But the presidential election was too big to rig. Perhaps Bex needs Ferguson's hairdryer treatment, says Alan. Stephen Hall. Beckham pushed COVID jabs too. Did he, Stephen? Oh, that's most unfortunate. So he's right in there. But he's not as close as he was with William and Harry, is he? So something's definitely happened. Maybe it was him just kicking off because he wasn't getting a knighthood in email. Beckham pushed COVID. Big ego too, says Stephen. Pop-eyed Wazza. Is he covered in baby oil? I think he might be, according to those pictures. Tattoos and baby oil. So let's talk about the orange man. We need to, because it's... have you heard the phrase, flooding the zone? Because if you think the political elite in this country and Europe, Ursula von der Leyen, poison dwarf, and now the seemingly right wing in Germany, but you can't be sure, and all the other, Macron, did you see him with, what was he on? Was he like, what was he on? Can't go any further than that. Because I was watching him and it was like Emile Macron and the Donald. And it was like really weird handshakes. And like Donald has a power handshake because he's the head of the Western world. He's got a power handshake and he grabs you with his hand and he just rags you about like a rag doll. So you've just got to go with it. He's in charge. I'm the gaffer. But him and Macron have had this really weird relationship around handshakes. It's odd. But the orange man, he came out, was it yesterday or earlier today? Tweaker? Vixtex? What's that mean? Ursula lie on her back. Poison dwarf, Tom. The BBC was so upset when Trump got back in. I know. They're still not letting go. They're still not letting go. And you know why the BBC are even more upset at the Trump? Because they got $3 million in funding from US aid. And that's being cut. What the bloody hell are the BBC doing? Receiving $3 million in a donation, free gratis, from US aid. How does that work? Supposed to be paid for by our taxes. Johnny Ray. Has Starmer ever met Trump in person? Yes. Yes. Now, I know that... I'm trying to dig this out of the back of my head. I know that Starmer has been to WEF virtually every year. And I know that whilst president, Trump went to WEF. So there is every chance that they've met, not as Prime Minister and President, but he's going across tomorrow. Now, nobody is saying that has Starmer invited himself or has Starmer been summoned by the Donald. Oi, Kia, you mucky tart. How many kids you got? What do you mean, Donald? How many kids you got? Well, 2, boy and a girl. Ah, right. Here, where's the CIA? Tell them to bring me Starmer's file. And just as a little aside, because I've got loads to talk about Starmer, as a little aside, I'm going to ask you a straight question. Whatever happened to that story? You know the one I'm talking about? Whatever happened to that story? The voice coach on Christmas Eve. I've told you before, the way they manage the news cycle now is the newspapers land first thing on a morning. Those newspapers are old news by 11:30 in the morning. Then the news cycle starts in real time. And then that news cycle is finished by about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then America starts waking up and kicking off. And then the American news cycle takes us to midnight. And then we all go to bed. Now, if I was to say to you, where did that story go? You know, the rumours that he was making her scream. So whatever happened to the voice coach on Christmas Eve? Because I know for absolute shit sure that when a story disappears, it's being managed out of the news cycle. And why would an innocent story be managed out of the news cycle? Because if we found out that fucking truth, he'd be done for as Prime Minister. I mean, he was having beers and curries and parties. And Lord Ali's flat. I mean, if he's had voice coaching for 5 years, can you imagine how dull he must have been before? Can you imagine how utterly monotone that man must have been? Oh, Max Clifford was an artist. And his sex parties were legendary. The internet doesn't sleep. Word gets out now by people communicating with each other. I know, Vixtex on X. So I'm going to ask you the same question. And then I'm going to reiterate my point. Where's that story gone? You know, the voice coach, Christmas Eve, in lockdown. What was he doing with her on Christmas Eve in lockdown? Surely, I mean, I'm being naive and I'm being a bit dim, but surely Christmas Eve, you're off to spend it with your wife and your kids. This lazy tart, when Shabbat kicks in on a Friday afternoon, sorry lads, Shabbat's in. I'm not doing anything until sunset, Saturday. And notice how she's never been quoted in the press. Have you noticed how the story just isn't there anymore? It's not being chased, used, nothing. So what does that tell you? If it's wholly innocent, then there is no story. It's, well, leader of the opposition, I was struggling. I had some stuff that I needed to do. We were going away on holiday. So I just needed to have, an hour or two with her to practice me stuff because then I was making a speech at so-and-so, so-and-so. So it was all wholly innocent. Leader of the opposition. Brilliant. Who said that? Stuart, you utter wrong, and Mr. Wobbly hides his hat. Brilliant. But if it's innocent, then you would just say, oh, here, Hadaway and Shite Man. It's innocent. She was my voice coach. I'd been working with her for a while. I needed to get some more sessions in because I was the leader of the opposition. We knew we were going to have an election the following year in the next couple of years. And I just knew I needed more practice. Yeah, obviously he was in a brass band. He was practicing his triple tonguing. Make your own gags up, you mucky tart. So I'm telling you categorically, from my time in PR, public relations, I'm telling you that that story has some credence to it. Because if it was truthful, wholly truthful, and nothing but the truthful, they wouldn't care. But they've blocked it, killed it, and she'll have disappeared somewhere on holiday, somewhere around the world. That's what they do normally. Ask Alexa what's flutter tonguing. Stuart, you monkey tart. I'm not. You just get me into trouble, man. Triple tonguing's flutter tonguing. The U Bovril. It was her vocal cords that got attention, not Starmer's, but she was screaming the place down. Did I say that out loud? Who said that? Oh, must have been Alexa. Starmer, Starmer, born in Dolphin Square. Where's Dolphin Square? Pop-eyed Wazza. I thought he was a northern boy. Everyone knows to not incriminate yourself and to keep your lips sealed. That's what he was hoping she was doing. Starmer ain't ever going to comment on out relating to his actions. Spanish elbow. In, out, in, out, in, out. So back to the Orange Man. So they all missed a comedy opening. Talking about Starmer's vocal coach again. Trump obviously doesn't have a he doesn't have a sense of humour ish. I mean, he's borderline genius, if not over the other side genius. And maybe he's got autism because he's got like a memory on him, and he's been military coached. That's what I'm going to say. Flooding the zone. So are you aware? I mean, he's a former military man, as in he was educated at a military college. So he's flooding the zone. You're not hearing anything else other than Trump's stuff. So, King of the Western world, King of America, King of everything, leader of the Western world. He's flooding the zone. He's signing all these executive orders. He's got Musk. He's got his executive. He had did he not have a meeting today around his first cabinet meeting? So it's literally all day, every day, stories about Trump and his presidency and America, because he's flooding the zone. He's putting so much out there that nobody else in the news cycle can compete. So a bit like the presidential election. He said it's got to be too big to rig. And sure enough, it was too big to rig. And then he gets in as the president because they couldn't rig it. And now he's flooding the zone with so many stories that he doesn't mind if some of the stories just fall off the perch, because he is literally the news agenda. And the comedy opening that I was thinking, they were talking about, most people, me and you, would try to get a green card to stay in America. And then they said, for $5,000, you could buy the Trump Gold card. Was it a Trump Gold card? And I thought, instead of saying it was a gold card, why didn't they say it was an orange card? Would have made me laugh. So he could have said there's bonuses for the orange card, and the orange card covers you, it would apply to and covers you for work in America, Ukraine, Gaza. And then, just before it came on air, he's putting a 25% tariff on European cars, because the Europeans, the pesky Europeans, like Ursula and Klaus and the others, the Germans and the French, Emil, did he have a word with Emil yesterday? Oi, cockeyed, come here. Have you met my son, Baron? Yeah, he's 3 times the size of you. You're wrong. So they're putting a 25% tariff on all European cars. There's no profit in it. So he's saying that it's because of the Europeans and the trade policies towards America. So he's basically gone, up yours, I'm going to use tariffs, 25% if you want to sell them in America. And remember, this is the day before Tu Tia Kia. Queer Kia, as in queer as folk. And Shagger Starmer turns up. Now, Shagger, actually, in America, have you never done the shag? Have you never heard the song by the Tams called There Ain't Nothing Like Shagging? Google it. I'm not lying. Google it. The Tams, There Ain't Nothing Like Shagging. It's a dance. It's called the shag. Not what you were thinking, you mucky tart, but it's just There Ain't Nothing Like Shagging. It's a song by the Tams, and it's it's a dance. So when I talk about Shagger Starmer, I'm talking about he's a dancer. I'm not yanking your chain. Have you not seen these little cartoony things that are on that go viral and he's dancing? Yeah, Shagger Starmer. He's a dancer. Oh, hang on, what's Amalia said? What the feck? Can someone please remind me of the damn lives? Oh, Amalia, you've missed all the best bits. Honestly, you would have needed your incontinence pants. You would have laughed so hard. And you've obviously come into the live when when we're talking about shagging. Dancing, the Tams. It's on Spotify. There ain't nothing like shagging. So when I talk about Shagger Starmer, I'm talking about the dancer. I mean, there's little Zelensky, Sniffy. He's a bit of a dancer. He's definitely got to be the gayest looking dancer for a straight man. And then there's Emil, loves to dance. I've seen him dancing. He's very loose-hipped. And all of this is kicking off the day before Starmer arrives. And then the day after, Sniffy's going into DC. Sniffy, or was it Mar-a-Lago? I think for the moment, the Donald is just making sure he doesn't get his head blown off. And I wish him long life, and I wish him well. Jules D, you meant Chancer. You could say that, Jules D, but I can't possibly comment. Garen Davis, you can smoke it as well. A shagger. Oh, shag. Oh, loose shag. As in, yeah. Backy pouch. Sorry. Is that tobacco? Backy pouch? Loose shag. I've had a few loose shags in my time. Terry says Starmer will meet Trump, have a press conference where he will make some comments that make him look good. That's never going to happen. Literally, Sir Keir Starmer uses his personality as contraception. He's so bloody wooden. You know, if you shake hands with him, you get a spelk. Or what do you call them? We call them spelks in the Northeast. And like boots on the ground, same as Macron. Oh, look, they're all, the left are so apoplectic at Sniffy and at the Orange Man because, look, Ukraine's corrupt. It's the money laundering capital of the world. And now the corrupt grifters that we call politicians can't grift any more laundered money out of Ukraine. No, the wonder they're apoplectic. They're mightily pissed off. So that's why the Donald is flooding the zone. Because, well, have you noticed how Macron got in there first? Only because Starmer had to do PMQs, and then he did PMQs today, and then he's straight across to America in Air Miles Starmer. He's never on the bloody ground, that boy. Should be calling him Space Cadet. He's never on the ground. So if you flood the zone, you just confuse the enemy, which is Macron, Starmer, and Sniffy. And did you know that... so that's what I was going to say. Was Starmer invited to go and see the Donald? Or was he summoned to go and see the Donald? So as much as he's bigging himself up to the House of Commons today at PMQs. How dull were they? Honestly, I felt like banging my head against a brick wall. Can we add enough? In the words of the great Chinese philosopher, she's shite. I mean, he said, 22 billion black hole. She should have stood up and said, here, Starmer, sit the fuck back down. 22 billion, you lying, caring, understanding 90s type. The OBR said there was no such thing as 22 billion black hole unless Rachel from accounts starts flashing her poonanny around. She didn't. She just went, oh. So she's gone as Tory leader. That's why Boris the Clown, he's hanging around like a bad smell. She could make Michael Foot look good. Hang on, put rum in it. Ooh, Darren. Zelensky is meeting Trump on Friday to sign a mineral deal like he said he would never do. Oh, Terry, look, because of the people that watch this channel, including you, Terry, who are sharp, I said to you and have done for numerous weeks and months, Putin wanted peace. Zelensky wanted peace when the newspapers were saying, oh, it's all kicking off. Because they need war, not jaw, to make money, to launder corrupt money through Ukraine. And I've been saying on this channel that both Zelensky and Putin wanted peace. And now the deal is, once Zelensky signs that bit of paper that signs the minerals over to the US and Trump, he wanders off into the ether, into the sea or wherever he comes from with $500 billion. I've told you before, he owns a hotel in Eilat, and Eilat is it's where the wealthy Israelis go, because it's permanent sunshine, permanent beautiful sea, where you can go snorkeling and scuba diving. I mean, it's breathtaking. And Eilat is always warm, it's always sunny, and he owns a bloody hotel there. Now, if it was me, I'd be like, oi, come here. Right, just show me how much you went into the presidency of Ukraine with. All your bank accounts, your missus, how many Bugattis did she have? How many bags and Louboutins did she have from Paris? And just, I want to see all your assets. And now I want to see how much you're leaving the office of President of Ukraine with, all your assets. And if there's any disparity between what you went in with and what you're going out with, not out, although judging by the dancing, definitely out. I would be telling them, you're not taking that with you. How many hotels in Eilat? No, you can bugger off. Leave them where they are. We'll give them to the people of Ukraine. So and because they use the propaganda peddlers to tell you what they're doing so that you don't get it wrong and so that you believe all the shite that they're saying, they get away with it. And there was Starmer today, I quote, 22 billion black hole. And then straight after, he said, if only I'd been playing PMQ's bingo. He said, having taken difficult decisions. No, you haven't. Do you know he's wandering around with bits of paper now? He's under so much pressure that he's wandering around with bits of paper, so he's got his notes. This is a barrister, seemingly the head of the Crown Prosecution Service. He was Director of Public Prosecutions. Did he walk about with, like, notes saying, ring Victoria, she's upset. What have I done now? He's being protected. Because the people above him that make these decisions, that want him protected for a reason. And the reason is he's going to make them money. So, question popped into my head. I just thought, all right then, shagger, dancer. How many voice coaches you been shagging? Dancing with, obviously. I mean, if you're singing, you're bound to start dancing. I would. Just asking for a friend, Kia. And then, question I want to ask you, because this answer is going to happen when he comes back next week. So he's upping the defence spending. Oh, so when they're trying to get rid of the Chagos Islands, he's got to go and meet Trump, and they'll give you an excuse. It'll be, yeah, we're going to look after Ukraine. We're going to have a buffer zone. We're not going to use NATO. We're going to have a buffer zone, and we'll pay for that. Europe will pay for some of that. But he is making sure that the Chagos Islands, and remember, he wanted to give away £18 billion pounds along with the Chagos Islands. That's what they're going to be negotiating either tonight or tomorrow. Because America, Trump in particular, told Starmer, do not do anything until I've signed it off. Sakia. And then there's bloody Ed Davey. I mean, he's about as useless as a chocolate fire god, that man. I don't know. He has no political purpose. The Lib Dems, they're kind of like, they're like a wet fart in a spacesuit. You know they're around, but they don't have to leave a bad smell. So Ed Davey stands up. I mean, he's trying to be relevant. He's trying to get his moment in the House of Commons so his party can go, oh, Ed stood up and was doing that. Oh, you vacuous, superficial shitters. And he said, well, I know that you're not going to have an easy meeting in the US. And I thought, well, hang on a second. Nobody said that yet. Nobody said it was going to be a difficult meeting. So so Keir Starmer evidently has been summoned. Oi, Keir, mate, come here. Get yourself over here. We need to have a meeting. Toot sweet, ASAP, PDQ. And so Ed Davies going, oh, sorry, Keir, mate. I know it's going to be a difficult meeting. Yeah, if you've got no bloody backbone. I mean, why doesn't he go across and go, right, Mr. Orange Man, what are you proposing? Should we play some status quo? What are you proposing then? And by the way, we've got the best army in the world. So if you start mucking about, if you start giving me orders, I'm going to get the SAS across here. You and your bloody robot dogs. How do we end shite? I've got the SAS. We've got the best army in the world. Bar none. I'll get a car full. They'll swim across the Atlantic because they're that hard. And if you want to start taking the piss, I'll get 2 cars to come across. They'll swim the Atlantic because they're that hard. But the politicians weren't actually saying anything. They weren't. They were just talking shite. And I just felt that Kemi not good enough. She wasn't holding the government's feet to the fire. It was like, so what are you going to do about this, Sakia? Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, okay then. And you just think, because they're all at it. They're all grifting. They're all at it. They're only there for the power and the money. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about the greater good. They don't care about anything else. They just want the bloody money. And that's what Ukraine's all about. I've been telling you for bloody hell 2 years since the channel started. And it's all coming to fruition. You can buy me a beer when it's all finished. And you can say, Jesus, Adrian, how did you know that? Your mother told me. So is this sort of procession into DC or into America? Are all these politicians just going over there to kiss Trump's ring? I've always wondered about that with the Pope. He's probably dead now. Why do they want to kiss his ring? And in public? A bit forward, don't you think? So the politicians, like the British politicians, the French politicians, the Germans will be going across there in a few days. And you've got Sniffy, who's making a shit ton of money by laundering the dirty money. They're all kissing Trump's ring, grifting. And the US are making the pot, so to speak, lucrative for politicians. And the various money laundering schemes going through Ukraine. But I know that's why Trump's stopping it. And I will tell you this. I told you the minute that Trump was elected that the war in Ukraine was over. No more. This parrot is deceased. None. See what I did there? And people are going, oh, well, you know, they're still fighting. And still. No, they're bloody not, man. They've all made shit tons of money, and they know that Zelensky knows that the Ukrainian people are going to turn on him. He can't stay in Ukraine. As much as Starmer is going, oh, yeah, we need him to stay. No, because the Ukrainian people will turn on him because they were conscripting his people and they have killed off 500,000 men. Ukraine may not recover from this. They need young men to shag young women and knock out kids. And there's no young men to shag young women and knock out kids. And the bullshit, the absolute. So in the mirror today, I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether you could hear my screams from where you live. Hang on. There. I don't know whether you could hear my screams, because that is utter hogwash. It's bullshit. Well, let me tell you, it's fucking lies. The Daily Mirror, I wouldn't wipe my arse with that shit. It's lies. I've been telling you for 6 months that Putin wanted peace, that the Chinese Communist Party wanted peace, that bloody Sniffy wanted peace, because he's got enough money now. He's got billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of washed, laundered, clean money. And these fucking Marxist retards. Starmer, we can't hide from Putin threat. He's not threatening anybody. He's done the deal for the minerals. He's done the deal for Crimea. He's done the deal for the oil and gas under the Black Sea. He's done the deals. Putin is energy independent. Russia, he doesn't give a flying. And that rag of shit is peddling propaganda. I'm telling you, even if I ran out of very soft toilet paper, I wouldn't wipe my arse with that. Never in a month of Sundays. I'd rather wipe it on the grass in my garden. That's why it frustrates me. Because you can see through this bollocks. Oh, I mean, honestly, I'm going to be paying off this swear box for the next 20 years. It's just, but it frustrates me. Because it's lies. It's propaganda. It's fucking lies. And yet people buy the newspapers going, oh, Jesus, well, Putin's a threat. He's not. They're making it up. They're sitting there. They're not talking about the fucking rape gangs, are they? No. They're not talking about the Pakistanis on the front pages, are they? No. They're talking about lies. And when I was buying my paper today, £1.70 for that shit. Look at that. Look what they've got on the front page. That arsehole. I paid £1.70 for that. Honestly, I think I might stab my eyes out. I'd get more fun from it. And I don't know whether maybe I've been a bad lad. Maybe I didn't deliver all my morning papers when I had my paper round. Who knows? But I know that the pain that I'm going through on a daily basis, where I can see through the political classes. I can see through what they're doing. I know why they're doing it. I know how they're doing it. And then we've got Kemi Not Good Enough standing up at the dispatch box and just not getting into the ribs of the government. That's her bloody job. She's only got one job. Holy Jesus. Honestly, these politicians have shit more intelligent stuff than these idiots. They are managing the mainstream media. Daily Mirror, Marxist. Ah, yeah. I mean, so you've got the government managing the mainstream media. They're managing that newspaper. And they are literally just the mouthpiece of the government. And they're saying, oh, Putin's a threat. Hang on a second. Which fucking planet are you living on? He's not a threat. He's done the deal. They've signed it off. And now he's just got to tell, well, the French get in there first, a bit like the Suez Canal. French were in there first, as were the Brits. Just wait till they start. Just wait till we get Mar-a-Lago or Mara-Gaza with Trump. And I told you, look, nearly 2 years ago, I told you that it's the Ben Gurion Canal. And I got into a lot of shit from really close people going, can't say that, that's out of order. 18 months later, you can kiss my arse. Because enough. And then who built the Suez Canal? The Egyptians have got it, But it was the Brits and the Israelis and the French that built the Suez Canal and then handed it over. Have a guess who's going to build the Ben Gurion Canal? Correct. It's not going to be the fucking Israelis. Benjamin Netanyahu, he's going to be up in a court of law as soon as all this finishes. It's going to be the French and the English. And look, I know the audience that watch these lives are super sharp, because we all have, we bring different skills. And the wonderful thing about this collective is we all bring different skills, differing insights, different context, different understanding, because of our age and our experiences and who we are and where we're from. And sometimes I'm so glad that you get this, because look, we no longer, we cannot and should not any longer try to wake people up to what's going on in the world. Because if the last 5 years hasn't woken them up, just leave them to fucking die, because that's what they deserve. And they allow these people to breed? What, the actual? And then not awake? Oh, Donald, the orange man, he's not a very nice man, is he? No, because all the left-wing newspapers in America and the media and Hollywood are saying he's not a very nice man. The evil is the left. I told you before. I told you 2 years ago. If Trump doesn't get into power, the whole world is done for. The only and last chance we've got as a species is Donald Trump getting into power. And they pulled every stunt that they could. Lawfare. They tried every which way to stop him standing for the presidential election. And he got in. I couldn't believe it. I thought that these cretins would pull every single stunt in every single way that they could to stop him from getting into power. It was too big to rig. And then Starmer's going across to kiss his ring for the first time while he's president. Yeah, mucky tart. So every time there is a story about Starmer, it's getting buried. Every single time. But because he's left and Marxist and trendy and cool, he's MP for Islington. Oh, Jesus, do you know Islington? Tony Blair, wasn't it? So now the orange man is saying, well, I'll just finish this off about Starmer. Any one of those stories, whether it's lockdown, whether it's whatever he's been doing with his voice coach, maybe she's making him scream, maybe he's making her scream, depends how good he is, and being coached. Obvs. But any one of those stories would have been done for him. He would have been done. But, and I know, and I can tell you, the reason why that's being killed straight away is because it would have been done for him. And the country hates him. He's the most hated prime minister in bloody history. That takes some effort. So Trump's come out today and said, and I could talk about Trump and Starmer for days and days and days. Trump has said that there's going to be, and I quote, a very big agreement. Quote, a very big agreement will be signed when Volodymyr Zelensky visits the White House on Friday, Trump has said. Referring to the Ukraine-US minerals deal. Now, I said to you, remember, in 2001, 9/11, that the minute that those planes went into those two towers, and by the way, we still haven't gotten to the bottom of WTC-7. Why was that pulled? Nothing touched it. Because the sheeple don't ask questions. They just go, oh, it must have been the fire from the two towers. What? Yeah, well, you know, the terrorists flew planes into the two towers. What proof do you have of that, then? I can counter any argument you give me by telling you to read a book. It's called Storming Heaven. Go and read it. Buy it on Amazon or any cheap shop for 99p. Storming Heaven. It was the blueprint for 9/11. It literally goes through the whole book, and what happened on 9/11 is in that book, and seemingly that was a work of fiction. My hairy backside. And the sheeple are just like, oh, yeah, well, WTC7 didn't fall by itself, mate. And within 2 or 3 days, remember the big things, the day before 9/11, that would have been 8/11 then. No, 11th of September, so it would have been 10, 9/10. Putin, the same Putin that's done the deal over the minerals out of Ukraine, was over at President Bush's Texan ranch to sign a deal, another bloody deal with the Americans. Now, this is 20 years ago. The Russians love him because he loves a deal, as does Donald. And he was at George W. Wanker Bush. That's what the W stands for, isn't it? And they did a deal to get the oil and the gas out of the Caspian Sea, down through Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, to a warm water port in Pakistan, and they are making money hand over fist. Because that's why the Russians went into Afghanistan in the 80s, because they knew how much oil and gas was under the Caspian Sea. They just had to get Afghanistan so then they could build the pipeline to get it down to the warm water port in Pakistan. The Indians weren't very happy about it. But that deal was done within days of 9/11. Why would they do that? Surely it would have been about world security. No, always about energy independence, the gas and the oil. And now, fan my brow, look at what's happening in Ukraine. They're telling you it's about the minerals. Hadaway and shite, man. It's about the massive military bases underground in Ukraine, and it's about Crimea and the Black Sea oil and gas. Do not, under any circumstances, and if you don't hear from me again, I'm upsetting some very powerful people by telling you this, do not accept what you're being told. Question everything and watch the pipeline start to be built out of the Black Sea. The Turks will want a bit, the Bulgarians will want a bit, Crimea and the Russians will have a bit, Ukraine will have a bit, but then again, Russia and America will also control those pipelines. I told you the other night, I don't forget. Slobodan Milosevic. Did you forget him? Telling the Americans, oh, I don't shite, mate. I'll look after Yugoslavia. I'll do what I want. I'm the king of Yugoslavia. And the Americans went, well, we just want to build a pipeline from the Black Sea through the north of Yugoslavia, through Europe to Germany to power the German economy. And Slobodan went, nah, mate, I'm in charge here. Off. He was dead within a few months from a heart attack in jail. Google it. There's some dancing going on around Europe, I'm telling you. And the WEF, they've got Germany doing as they're told. As Johnny Ray says, it's one big club and you know the rest. I know. Me and you, Johnny, we're not in it. Or the club. Alan says, my back garden, Lincolnshire. Oh, I was going to mention that. Sorry, Alan. Has enough gas underground to power the UK for 50 years. Longer than that, 100 years. Where's my notes? Because I was alerted to this earlier, and I literally, I was pulling my hair out. Not because, well, look, if it's good enough, if fracking is good enough, there it's there. Government says £110 billion worth of gas below Lincolnshire won't be touched. Let me thank you for reminding me on, Alan. There's a giant new gas field being discovered below Gainsborough. It's not going to be touched. The government, that's these Marxist oiks, have pledged. The company behind the discovery, thought to be worth that's the gas, worth about £110 billion, say it could create thousands of jobs and power for the UK for years. However, no new licenses are being issued for onshore gas extraction, known as fracking. And remember, the Queen was putting money into fracking, but then the Americans found out that it was disturbing all kinds of stuff, and there was all kinds of shit coming out their taps because of fracking. The government plans to outlaw this completely. This is partly due to fears over earthquakes caused by the drilling. That's the fracking, the movement of the shale. The gas field was found in a geological feature known as the Gainsborough Trough and is centred under West Lindsey. Hang on, isn't that Hull, West Lindsey? Or is that North Lincolnshire? Is it under the river? It's due to be formally announced by energy company Egdon later this month. So when you see this story in a couple of weeks, well, they're saying later this month, there's only a few days left in February. But if you see this come out about fracking and all this £110 billion worth of gas under some shale in North Lincolnshire or Humberside, you'd be like, oh, hang on, where did I hear that before? The Department of Energy Security and Net Zeros, that man, literally that man, he's an arsehole, says it will remain focused on renewable energy rather than fossil fuels. So they would rather have windmills, wind power, as Thomas Dolby once said. They'd rather have what they're calling renewable energy. So what was the song? Who was the singer that did the song saying they've concreted over... So literally, they're going to flatten the land, take the trees out, all the flora and fauna, to put renewable energy in the fields. I mean, these people they're grifters. They're making money. Somebody is making a shit ton of money out of this, and it's not me and you. Now, a spokesperson for the Department for Energy Security and Net Zeros. Oh, Jesus, he's a cunt. We intend to ban fracking for good and make Britain a clean energy superpower to protect current and future generations. Look, I get fracking. I get the dangers of fracking. But what they're saying is, we're going to spunk your taxes, we're going to spunk your money on Ukraine, which has been split up between Russia and America. We're going to pay for European security left, right and centre, and we are not going to explore making ourselves energy independent. You can pay your taxes, and you can pay David Lammy's department £500,000 in 4 months on food and wine, that fat twat. They say the biggest risk to our energy security is staying dependent on fossil fuel markets, and only by sprinting to clean power by 2030 can the UK take back control of its energy and protect both family and national finances from price spikes. Go and have a word with the bloody Marxist Chinese Communist Party, because they're still burning coal for coal power. Go and ask them. Because, look, these morons in the Pink Palace, they're beside themselves. They've got a permanent hard-on. They're just saying we can do whatever we want. We can make all the money. We can take loads of taxes because we're corrupt and we don't give a flying. We'll just make the grunts work harder and pay us more tax and pay us more national insurance, and we'll shaft them for our largesse. Can you not see this coming? Honestly, I've turned into Swearing Mary tonight. Through our plan for change, did you hear them? Did you hear them? Our plan for change in action today at PMQs. Oh, mate, man, just foxtrot, Oscar. We've had enough. Honestly, don't. I've been bent over by this government so many fucking times, I'm just permanently touching me toes. And then some Tory boy comes out, the area's MP, he's a Tory, Sir Edward Lee, said, and this was online, The discovery of a giant gas field around Gainsborough that could power the UK for a decade shows the absurdity of covering 10,000 acres nearby with solar panels. The government should drop its net zero obsession and look after the real energy and food needs of the nation. I mean, he's halfway there, bless him. Did somebody wake him up? The Lincolnshire gas field is a large gas reserve that could power the UK for a decade. It's located beneath the market town of Gainsborough and extends south to Nottinghamshire and South Yorkshire. So the discovery was made by Egdon. The gas is buried in shales and sandstones about a mile and a half, 2 kilometres underground. The field is larger than Shell's Jackdaw development in the North Sea. The potential benefits: the field could reduce the UK's reliance on imported energy. It could create tens of thousands of jobs. It could boost the UK economy by billions with a B of pounds. And it could offset millions of tonnes of CO2 emissions. The potential impact is the discovery could reignite the debate about fracking, which is currently banned in the UK. It could create a clash between Rachel from Accounts and the Energy Secretary. I would pay good money to see those intellectual pygmies going at it in the House of Commons. Rachel from Accounts and the millipede. He's a failed Labour leader. What would he know, playing his ukulele to try and please his paymasters? And any future plans? Well, Egdon Resources will announce its findings at an energy industry conference, and the company will test the field for potential development. And honestly, we're sitting here trying to work out what's best for ourselves, our community, our family, and does it not make you feel sick? Yeah, Ed Sillyban, thank you, Stephen. Does it not make you feel sick? Because they don't listen to us. They're not interested in listening to us. They're interested in how much money they're going to make from it. And I don't mean how much money they're going to make for the greater good, for me and you, so that we don't have to pay as many taxes. They're just looking at it to see how much they're going to make for themselves. Not even their political party, just themselves. How many millions? Just for themselves. That's why I said to you, the minute they went into power as a minister of the government, we need to have all of their details, all of them, bank accounts, how much they're worth, how much their assets are worth. And then when they leave, we need to check it and tick it off. And not in anybody else's name, because we would have family and extended family and offshore bank accounts. Got a couple of more things I want to do because they're time critical. Are you aware of a guy called Amari Ward, 31 years old? Do you know when they were letting out all these people from jail? And they were saying, right, we're going to let them out of jail to make way for other people that we need to put in jail that are posting memes on Facebook, you know? So this Amari Ward, 31, he was let out under that particular scheme, under Labour's soft on crime early release scheme. And within 15 minutes of being released from jail, he sexually assaulted a woman. And nobody's making a fuss about this. Starmer, the caring, understanding 90s type. Scum-sucking pond life. Him and Yvette Cooper. Have you seen the bloody portrait of Yvette Cooper that they want to foist on us? And they've taken down pictures of Winston Churchill out of number 10. And they've put this inept shower of shite up on the walls of number 10. How fucking grubby are these people? So you see, that's what happened when Labour prioritises criminals over victims. I mean, I was thinking, you know, have you ever seen the TV series Gotham? You know, Batman, the story. And Gotham is where the police are ineffectual. The police can't arrest anybody because the Maddens have gotten out of the local madhouse and have taken over the streets. Gotham, it's just lawless, Gotham. And I do believe that what this Labour Party have done is they've turned Blighty into Gotham, where the criminals get priority over the victims. In any which way. So Labour have prioritised the criminals over the victims. But where are the so-called feminist champions? So, Jess Phillips, where are you? Gobshite, where are you? Oh, can you hear that? It's silence. And Yvette Cooper, where are you? Oh. Is that hopeless husband of yours still on the telly? So Jess Phillips and Yvette Cooper, as ministers, and one of them is saying they want to protect women. The other one is saying, I'm the Home Secretary, I'll take care of business. 15 minutes he was out of jail and he sexually assaulted a woman. This is on Labour's watch. And they're telling us one thing, we're going to protect everybody, we're going to deal with knife crime, but they're not dealing with the criminals that are coming out of jail because they want them out of jail to put people in that have put stuff on social media for a couple of years. No, 15 minutes. It's literally, Britain's becoming a criminal paradise. It's becoming Gotham, where the police can't do anything. The criminals are running everything. The public are left unprotected by the very people who claim to stand for women's rights. So how many more victims will it take before Labour scraps its reckless policies? It won't. It won't. I had so much to tell you tonight. I'll save the BBC. I'm not going to bash the BBC tonight. I think I've done that enough. I was going to talk about reform because they're beginning to make me nervous. But we'll leave that possibly for, what's today? Is it Wednesday? Possibly for Sunday. I will sort of, there was two more things. Right, we will do two more things. One, have you been watching the brouhaha about this Ben and Eubank? Excellent kickoff. What's that, Stuart? So, the sons of Chris Eubank and Nigel Ben and Eubank, juniors, their fight wasn't really on anybody's radar. And now, I'll guarantee you, that the fight is going to happen in Spurs' new football ground. I guarantee you, it'll be sold out. Because there's bad blood between them now. It's personal. Just wanted to let you know, remember the police turning up at Alison Pearson's, journalist Alison Pearson's Essex home. Essex police turned up when she wasn't there. And it was about a free speech investigation. Well, she's announced legal action against Essex police after being placed under criminal investigation for criticising the policing of a pro-Palestinian march. Police showed up at her house on Remembrance Sunday, launching an investigation over a tweet sparking outrage over free speech suppression. So now she's suing Essex police. And I'm not going to defend them, but it's an impossible position to be in, where you've got the politicians telling you as a police force, do as you're told, do as you're told. Shut up, do as you're told. It's free speech. The right wing. And the police are like, this is a non-incident hate crime or whatever they're calling it nowadays. That's not policing. It's the political will. It's not bobbying. It's not policing. It's not protecting the people that pay their wages. It's not. There is more. One more thing. I need to do this one more thing. This hysteria over the minerals. So the minerals for Musk's car batteries. So all of these minerals and land and underground military bases, you have to understand that is one of the main priorities of the Americans. So you can have the food and the land. Putin just wants the gas and oil, but the Americans will get the minerals and the underground military bases. So this hysteria, as I said to you with the Daily Mirror, this hysteria that the propaganda peddlers are promulgating, all I'm going to say is the proposed mineral deal with the US is pathetic. Why? Because it's only just come up on your radar this week. Well, actually, I'm going to give you something that will mark your card. A reminder, the rare earth is the reason we are here in the first place. And the EU were in on the act from the beginning. There was an EU agreement in 2021, secured a deal with Ukraine to access critical raw materials for its green and digital transitions. The UK has a 2025 agreement with Starmer imposing a 100-year partnership. Remember, $3 billion a year for 100 years. That's why he was out there, because they all know what's going on underground in Ukraine, and they all want a piece of that action, because that action is going to be worth trillions and trillions and trillions. And these corrupt politicians are saying they're doing it for the greater good. It's not for the greater good. It's for their trouser pocket. They're thieving oiks. So Starmer imposed a 100-year partnership with Ukraine, including mineral cooperation as a preferred customer. As a preferred customer, my hairy arse. What, as a preferred supplier? So he signed up $3 billion a year for 100 years. But the US have come up with another deal, Trump-backed deal, proposing 50% of Ukraine's mineral revenues go to America. So Europe's grip on Ukraine's resources is under threat. And that's why they're all hysterical. Because they want to split it up. So I'm going to ask you this question, and this should give you value for the whole live tonight. Because what you've forgotten about, I haven't. I've told you, I'm a cynical old tart. At which point, looking at the news over the last couple of days and what's going on in Ukraine, did you ask yourself, that must be why Chief Exec of BlackRock, Larry Fink, was in number 10 Downing Street a few months ago with William Gates, because they're all at it. They all want it. Did you forget that? What the left hand don't say, the right hand don't grieve for. That's what they're all at. So they did it in such a way that you would forget. I didn't, because I know what they are. They're corrupt. So now we know why Larry Fink, chief exec of BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street and JP Morgan, they were all, well, Larry Fink and William Gates were in 10 Downing Street. And then a couple of months later, we've got peace in Ukraine, when we knew it was coming 6 months ago. And they're all trying to carve up Ukraine. They think we're stupid. And we're not. Because we can see through these scum-sucking pond life, these caring, understanding 90s type, spunking our taxes for their largesse. I've told you before, David Lammy, is he going with him? Is he going to go over to see Donald Trump? David Lammy. Trillions in reparations. Hadaway and shite, man. You know, they will stop our facility to work things out. They will. Because they're making mistakes. They've got to get this done by 2027. It's only 18 months away. Ish. They're making mistakes. But they don't care. Because there's nothing we can do about it. David Lammy's department, £500,000 in 4 months on food and wine. He needs to get out for a jog, that fat fecker. Oh, you can't be fattest, Adrian. He's a politician. And he's spunking £500,000 on food and wine of our taxes. They're corrupt, man, I keep telling you. I can't see them doing a full term. And now they're deciding we're going to get half the knives off the streets. You're going to have to go into every single kitchen and nick people's knives. They're making it sound as if they know what they're doing. Right, I'm going to call it a day. And I'm going to be doing nearly 2.5 hours. So I've got to build my stamina up. Next live is on Sunday. I've got some stuff that I wanted to talk about. I will say to you, and I just wanted to kind of give you this because this is quite spectacular. On who was it that talked about the somebody talked about the asteroid 2024 YR4? Remember I said on the last couple of lives it was suddenly a 1% chance and then a 2% chance and then a 3% chance. I think it was Terry said that, oh, it's now 8% chance of hitting the Earth. And I said to you, nah, they're making it up. It's fear porn. They're just trying to tell us. They're trying to make us scared. Oh no, we're all going to die. Fear porn. No. And now, the asteroid's not even going to hit Earth. I told you that's what they were going to tell you. But on, what was it, the 26th today, which is Wednesday, so on Friday night, if I'm hoping that the skies are going to be clear, I hope you can see this. So on Friday night, I should be able to see Uranus. Don't need binoculars. But that procession of planets is going to be in the night sky on Friday the 28th. And it's not going to return for another 15 years, 2040. So if you want to see something natural and spectacular, you'll be able to see Uranus. You won't get arrested for it. But Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Mercury, Saturn, and Venus will all be seen in a planetary parade on Friday night. One night only. Next time we'll all be dead and buried. 2040. Your kids might see it, but this is a one-off. So thank you to everyone who's been part of the chat this evening. Thank you to everyone that took the time to be here. I hope tonight's been of some value to you. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. Please make sure that you take the Battenberg wrappers with you, your tarts, and I hope you enjoyed the altar wine. My name's Adrian Allen. Look after yourself, stay safe, be well, and the next live is Sunday at 8 p.m. And wherever you go, whatever you do, don't forget the Battenberg. And here at the Theatre of the Mind, we're more than just the headlines. See you Sunday, if not in video before then.